Today we're going to look at how to translate English phrases into math and vice versa. The quotient when the quantity 10 plus a number x is divided by 2. Please pause your video and see if you can translate that. And what I mean by that is see if you can write that as a math problem. So go ahead and pause your video. As we're looking at this, there's several clues that help us figure out what math objects we need. So the first one is the word quotient. Quotient means to divide. When the quantity 10 plus a number is divided by 2. And quantity is a sneaky little number. That means you need groupings. So the quotient, when the quantity, and what is the quantity? 10 plus the number x. So we're going to say 10 plus x is divided by 2. And because it has the word quantity, we're asked to include parentheses. 10 plus x divided by 2. However, the 10 plus x is grouped. We talked about this in last class, that the fraction bar is a way to show grouping as well. So the top already is grouped, so those extra parentheses are kind of just extra, not needed. However, because of the word quantity, you should have some parentheses or grouping symbol in your expression. Very important. When we're translating, we're really writing down word for word. We're not trying to simplify the expression as we go. We want to write what is seen in the word problem. So in this case, even though it's redundant, we do need the parentheses because of that word quantity. Some other words that give us some clues. So we've got addition, that means sum. You might see it as plus, more than, increased by. So we have some examples here. The sum of 2 and a number x. So the sum of, which means addition, of 2 and a number x. And in your problem, if it says and a number and they don't give you the variable, you can choose which variable to use. But in this case, we were given that the number is represented by the variable x, so we want to use that. A number n plus 7. So it's n plus 7. We want to go ahead and write it in the order that it appears, except for when we see the word more than or greater than, and we'll talk about that in subtraction, but more than, we need to actually switch the order. So if it were to say a number n more than 7, the 7 would get written first, plus n. For subtraction, we have difference, less than, and again, I'm going to kind of circle that less than, because that means we have to swap our order, minus or decreased by. Unless it's less than or more than, there's no need to switch the order of what you see in your problem. So if we take a look at the difference of a number n and 6, difference means subtract. The n is written first in my word problem, so in my math problem, it would also get written first. So here we have 5 less than. Less than definitely means subtraction, but the 5 and the number y need to swap places. So the y would come first and the 5 would be after. If you were to translate this and put the 5 first, so 5 minus y, it will be marked wrong. That is incorrect. Same thing when you have more than. If you don't swap those add-ins, you are incorrect. Multiplication, times, product, multiplied by, and of. Of is a representation of multiplication. So it's just a tiny little word, but it has an impact. 12 times a number y. So we're going to write that as 12. And I can choose to write just the y next to it. When I have a number and a variable next to it, it's implied multiplication. Otherwise, you could write it as 12 with the multiplication dot y. But that dot is not necessary, but it's your choice. 1/3 of a number x. Now, many students will say, okay, well, I need 1/3 of x, so I'm going to do x divided by 3. That is incorrect for this translation, and it's because of that word of. So all I'm doing is taking 1/3 and multiplying it by x. Now, a lot of times you'll see just x over 3, of course. However, when we are specifically working on the skill of translation, you must write it as the words are given to you. So the word of means to multiply. So I need that multiplication in there. And again, you could write it with the dot as well. Division is represented by the word quotient, divided by, divided into. The quotient of a number k and 2. Now we've graduated from using the division symbol like that or the division box, so I don't want to see any of those. We want to see division written in terms of fraction or with that fraction bar. So the quotient of a number k, so k is the numerator, it comes first, we write it on top, fraction bar 2. Keep in mind that subtraction and division, the order that the words are very important. We want to order them from left to right, and in this case with the division bar, top to bottom. So we talked a little bit about this on our opening question. The word quantity, it denotes parentheses. So here we have the example in words, and let me just erase that answer there for just a second. Let's see if we can figure it out together. It says for less than, so less than means subtraction, but it also means to switch. The quantity, quantity tells me I'm about to use some parentheses. The quantity of 6 times the sum of a number and 5. Okay, let's see. So 4 less than, so I'm going to need subtraction sign and I'm going to need 4 at the back. So 4 is less than the quantity, I'm going to need some parentheses. The quantity of 6 times the sum of a number and 5. Well, that could be n plus 5. The problem here, if I put my parentheses there, is that the way I have it written, it looks like 6 is being multiplied by n. And what we want is the sum, the answer to an addition problem, is being multiplied by the value of 6. So we actually need a second set of parentheses here. Some in there. I'm going to add my second set there. Or you could use the brackets. So if you didn't like the double parentheses, and a lot of us don't, I'm going to put my bracket around the outside grouping, n plus 5 on the inside of the grouping, and then minus 4. That one was pretty tricky. I'm going to ask you to stop your video if you're working along with me on your note sheet, pause, and go ahead and try the following translations. I'm going to work them out as we go. So 8 more than a number. More than means addition, but we also said it means swapping out the values. So I don't have what the value of the number is, that representation, the variable. So I'm going to just use the letter A. So A plus 8. Again, if you have it in reverse order, you are incorrect for the translation. Letter B, the difference of 7 and a number. And again, I'm going to keep using A unless my question tells me to, and you can pick which variable you want. The difference of 7 and a number. Difference means subtraction. No need to switch. 7 minus A. Letter C, the product of 10 and a number. Product means to multiply. So 10A. And again, if you choose, you can use your multiplication dot. Please do not use the X as a multiplication symbol. It gets confusing when we think it might be a variable or it could be the operator. Letter D, the quotient of twice a number and 12. Quotient means division. So I know I need a fraction bar here for division. The quotient of twice a number. So twice a number is happening. If you drop your pen twice, you've dropped it 2 times. So that's twice, 2 times a number. So I'm going to use 2 times a, or 2a, fraction bar 12. And I don't want to simplify 2 over 12. Some of us might want to do that and say, well, it's actually a over 6. This is just translating. It has nothing to do with simplification. Letter E, the product of 15 and the quantity 12 less than a number. So we've got the product, which means to multiply 15. So I'm going to take 15 and I have to multiply it by the quantity. So I know I need some parentheses of 12 less than a number. Less than is subtraction. It also means to switch. So I'm going to have my number first and my 12 at the end. Letter F, twice the quotient of 50 and the quantity 12 more than a number x. This is getting complicated. Let's see. Twice, so 2 times, the quotient of 50, fraction bar, the quantity of, I need parentheses, 12 more than a number x. So because it says more than, my 12 needs to go in the back. So it looks something like this. And you might want to also include some brackets, because we're taking the 2 and we're multiplying it by the whole quotient, that whole division problem. Letter G, amount spent if you buy a shirt for $20 and jeans for $J. So we're looking for that combination of your shirt and your jeans. So I'm going to say this is just $20 plus J. Number of days left in the week if D days have passed so far. So there are 7 days in the week, and I'm going to subtract D from that. And that'll tell me how many numbers of days are left in the week. Each person's share if P people share 16 slices of pizza. So if we have 16 slices and we invite P amount of friends to have pizza with us, oops, that P looks a little messy. That would be our value right there. Let me rewrite that. P. And these are your translations. So practicing writing word for word without any simplifying, really taking it word by word. Remember that more than and less than, you want to switch the order of what you're being added and subtracted. And the word quantity denotes some parentheses are needed or grouping. You also have some equations and inequalities that you might need to translate. So there's some definitions here. An open sentence is just a mathematical statement that contains 2 algebraic expressions and a symbol that compares them. There are 2 different types of open sentences. You'll either see equations or inequalities. An equation is one of these open sentences that has the equal sign. And an inequality is an open sentence that has less than or equal to, greater, or greater than or equal to. So let's see, what kind of open sentences are these? Well, this one has an equal sign, so it must be an equation. I see inequality symbols. It's an inequality. In the last one, I see 2 inequality symbols. It's still an inequality. You'll also have the opportunity to translate inequalities. So these word clues can be pretty tricky. So this one you might have to just memorize. The equal sign is equal to. You're going to see the words the same as, and the word is. For less than is less than, fewer than. Less than or equal to, we'll see at most or no more than. If it's a greater to symbol, then we might see the words more than. If it's greater than or equal to, we'll see at least and no less than. Pause your video and see if you can translate the rest.